This is a dreary book. Dostoevsky makes me want to pull my feathers out.
It's Tolstoy.
Oy.
You know, they mention a lathe in this book. Hey, check this out. The enormous study was full of things evidently in constant use. The large table covered with books and plans, the tall glass-fronted bookcases with keys in the locks, the high desk for writing while standing up, on which lay an open exercise book, and the lathe, with tools laid ready to hand and shavings scattered around, all indicated continuous, varied, and orderly activity. The motion of the small footshod in a Tartar boot embroidered with silver, and the firm pressure of the lean, sinewy hand showed that the prince still possessed the tenacious endurance and vigor of hardy old age. After a few more turns of the lathe, he removed his foot from the pedal, wiped his chisel, dropped it into a leather pouch attached to the lathe, and, approaching the table, summoned his daughter.
Yeah, riveting. He's no Dan Brown when it comes to page-turning prose.
Yeah, I'll admit he's no Dan Brown.
Are there any laughs in there?
Yeah, actually, there's this general that talks like Elmer Fudd. Oh, yeah, and these drunk kids, they tie a cop to a bear and throw it in the river. It's kooky.
It ain't exactly a culture that produces many stand-up comics.
What about Yakov Smirnoff?
Oh, that guy. Yeah, didn't he do that bit on Carson? In Soviet Union, people don't feed the pigeons. People feed on the pigeons.
How do you know Yakov? He's my generation.
Well, I can't Google.
How do you Google?
This lady in the park feeds me and my gang. She lets me use her phone.
Really?
We play chess sometimes.
Serious?
Well, until the time I pooped on a rook.
Would you let me read? Hey, you want a grape?
Nah, them things give me the runs.
So, you know, it is true. You know, back when Tolstoy wrote that book, well, he was writing about the early 1800s, there were lathes, but they were foot-powered, sort of the way a lot of sewing machines were. So imagine that, yeah, working on the lathe, and you got to be pumping the foot, you got to pump the foot. It must have been quite a workout. And also a focus thing, because when you're turning wood, it's a lot of focus. You got to really stay focused. But now you got to also get that foot action going. It's like being a drummer, I guess, you know, with the foot pedal. So that was, they must have had some stamina in those days. I'd love to try one. I wonder how many RPMs they were able to get up to, you know, because you got to get this wood's got to be spinning pretty good. So anyway, so we're going to get back to finishing this pen that we started last episode. I never gave you a really good look at the pieces of the two pieces of a blank with the resin. I want you to get a better look. Hopefully you could see that. People do this on videos all the time. They put their hand behind it. I'm not sure what that's supposed to do. See this one. So see, it's got a coating of resin. They both have this coating of resin because sitting in that silicone form, they got this coating of resin. And I sawed a lot of it off because it was thick. There was a thick coating, and I sawed it off. But there's still some. You can see there's the holes. Our holes are drilled. So these are ready to be turned. Now, what I'm hoping will happen, now there's some problems because if you notice, see right here, that hole right there is filled. So that should be fine. But then when you look on the other side, you see one that is kind of shallow, like it's sunk, it leaked out or something. So that one I'm a little concerned about holding. We'll see. And this one has the same issue. But, you hear that? I said but.
You're a butthead.
Shut up. So, he's crazy. But I'm letting him stay in this episode to watch.
I am honored, my liege.
Yeah, all right. So, this is what it could look like, though. You know, you see this one has that purple resin in it, which is really pretty. Like this one I carved basically a gouge. I carved like a little river into the wood, into the resin, why do I keep forgetting the term? The blank. I'm going blank on blank. I don't know what happens. This happens sometimes. I'm going blank on blank. So, and I filled that with purple, and look how beautiful that came out. And this one's almost subtle. But you can see the little bit of resin in the little trench that I dug out here, and it kind of it looks like it's bleeding from the wood into the olive wood, the ebony wood into the olive wood. I really like that one. And then you could get fun and goofy, like with two different colors. You get these polka dot resin, which is very cool, very pretty. And this one I think I showed you with the polka dots also, the blue spots of resin. Now, will these two blanks be pretty as those? Or will they fall apart in my face? Who knows? But, so this is what we have to do now. There's something called a pen mandrel. And this one says, yeah, it says, does it say mandrel? Oh, no, it says manrel. There's a D missing. This is a manrel. This is a new version of it. It's called a manrel. I don't know, maybe it's special. So you need one of these in order to turn the pen. So it's how you mount the blanks onto the lathe. Okay. So I'm going to mount that now. So this is part of it, and we have now this part goes into the headstock. This is the headstock, by the way, on a lathe, and the other side is a tailstock. And then we have these bushings, these little bushings. They're little metal spacers, and I'll explain that in a minute. And this is the part that goes onto the tailstock. So basically, what we're doing is we are threading everything onto this mandrel. So first a bushing. So and when you're turning the wood, you want to try to match the thickness of this blank with the bushing. You don't have to, but if you don't, you wind up with a bulkier looking pen. If you want a sleek, sinuous looking pen, you want to get these down to the same diameter of the bushings. All right, so then we put it into the one end into the headstock. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. I hope you can see that. And this part goes into the tailstock, and then we just slide it together, lock that down, tighten it up. Everything's nice and locked down now. Okay, now where am I? I'm going to get ready. I got to get into my special equipment so we could start turning the pen. I wound up using this Forster bit to clean up the faces on these two blanks. Now, I mentioned something also that just want to clarify a little bit. When I said we need to turn these down to the width of the bushings, I don't mean the whole thing, because if you take a look, here's an example of a pen I made. Each one obviously made from two different blanks. You had a deer antler, and here you have ebony. So actually, this purple heart. So we want to taper the ends to the size of the bushing, but the center, you could have coves, you could have fat areas, you could do whatever you want to give it the shape you want. But when you taper the ends, meaning these four ends, toward the thickness of the bushings, it gives it a nice, sleeker look. So we're ready to turn. I'm going to be using this carbide tip, this square carbide tip. Normally I would usually get it to round using a heavier like gouging tool, but I don't really feel confident in the integrity of this resin. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. See, these carbide tips, I know there's some purists that don't like the carbide tips, but they have their purpose for sure. And what's great about these is you don't have to sharpen them once they get dull. You loosen this and this rotates and you have another blade. So there's 4 blades here. And then I'll use the round tip. Once this is rounded, I'll use the round tip carbide tool to get into real shaping. And this device right here, this is the tool rest. If you notice, this is the original tool rest, but it broke. It snapped. And there's a whole story that I have to explain.
Yeah, that thing missed my head.
No, you weren't there when that happened. Now, I am wearing a face protector, and so is Peckerhead, because you don't know what's going to fly off these things. I mean, it is possible pieces of resin or pieces of wood or the whole thing could just break in half and fly out. So you want to protect your eyes and your face. Trust me, I had some funny things happen. One time I was working on a bowl and the entire thing went flying off and hit me right in the crotchety area. And obviously the face protector didn't help me down there. So we're going to get turning. Turn on the lathe. Rest the tool on the tool rest, and we're going to begin. Sometimes it does catch. Also with this resin, and I would like any of you, if any pros are out there watching me, and I'm doing something wrong, please leave messages in leave messages below. Tell me if I'm making an idiot of myself, or if I'm screwing up, or if I'm doing something right. I'd love to hear from you guys, because I'm learning. This is all a learning process for me. I'm not a pro. I just started doing this 7 months ago or so. I've made a lot of pens. I think they've gotten nicer and nicer. I don't know what this one's going to be like. Like I said, this was a screwed up blank. This one's catching a bit because of the resin. There's an uneven coating, and that's causing it to catch. But it's all right. As it smooths out, so you can test the smoothness by the bumpiness of the tool on top of the blank. This one's obviously still very square. This one's getting rounder. So that's one way to test to see. How it's coming. So you see the circles of resin, they're actually holding. Even the one on the end, and the one on the end is holding. So that's promising. And it looks like it's down almost there near round. I'm going to switch to another tool. Hold on. All right, I'm switching now to the rounded carbide tool. This gives you nicer, finer, smoother cuts. And this is when you can start to shape it. All right, that's the end of part 1 of episode 2. Next week, we finish the pen. We're going to sand and polish and assemble and see what comments Peckerhead have. Until then, play with your wood!